Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Frank and Mary Show. It's a little different today. I'm Doug Peck. I'm the usual co-host for the show, along with Arthur Bergeron, who is an elder law attorney with Myrick and O'Connell in Westborough. He is not able to be with us today, so we're going to continue on without him because we have an important and timely topic to talk about today. Mostly it's going to be about the up-and-coming town meeting, which is being held this Saturday and possibly even Sunday. We try to present information to you on this show that's very relevant to seniors. I think this is relevant to everybody in this case, and to help those who don't Zoom and don't have access to the information in other ways. Today, as my guest, I have Lisa Braccio. Lisa is a town select person, and she has a lot of up-to-date information both on the town meeting, the town offices, and other things that we're going to need to talk about. So welcome, Lisa, to the Frank and Mary Show again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thanks. So tell us a little bit. Let's start off with the town meeting. So that's this Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's Saturday. It starts at 10 o'clock. It's at the Neary Ball Field. It goes
Okay.
from 10 to 1. There's a break for lunch. People are welcome to bring a cooler with you. You don't necessarily have to leave. I believe there's also an area you can bring your kids. There's going to be a family section as well. Mr. Haggerty has done. Come back from 2 to 5. And if need be, come back on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Those are the
Okay.
times that are currently set.
Oh, good. And I was reading that still, because there's new mandates that have changed a little bit, but they're socially distanced. You're asked to wear a mask when you go in, but when you're sitting down, you can remove the mask.
Correct.
Is what I saw. Right. Okay, good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
And there's going to be portalets there as well for folks.
There are, and I think they're planning on most people not leaving, probably just hanging out. I know they initially tried to have some food be brought in. Mr. Haggerty worked very hard and potentially getting food trucks and whatnot, and it just didn't pan out because you had to commit. My understanding was you had to commit to a specific number. So people are welcome to bring a picnic lunch, a cooler with them as well. They'll be issued wristbands. So if you do leave, once you check in, you don't have to go through the whole process again. You just have to show the wristband that you'll receive.
Oh, good. So if there's check-in, and I was also reading that there's like 300 seats available, you probably should get there a little early to get checked in, get a seat, because it's going to start at 10, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to start at 10, and obviously people are going to be parking at Trotter as well and walking
Right.
over. So allow yourself the extra time as well. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, good idea. Thanks. So there are some important things on the agenda. So why don't you give us a flavor for what's going to be discussed and sort of the hot ones.
Sure. So there's currently 39 articles that are listed on the warrant. I believe one may get indefinitely postponed, 1 or 2 at town meeting.
Okay.
I think some of the articles that people seem to have the most interest in at this point. I will say though, for the budget, I believe after the Board of Selectmen meeting tonight, that advisory and the Board of Selectmen will be in agreement on the budget.
Okay.
I know there was some concern about Board of Health's budget, and everybody has worked together and come out with a solution. So that's great.
Good.
Some of the CPC articles that I think are going to generate some conversation, which is always a good thing, is and one thing for people to keep in mind as well, why it's 39 articles is because a lot of these were carried over from the annual town meeting last year because of COVID and the need to try to keep it a little bit shorter. So some of the articles, Calander Field was on for last year, and that's the ball field to upgrade the drainage off of Route 30. Also, St. Mark's Church Bell Tower is one that seems to have drawn a lot of discussion on. There'll be handouts, I believe, on that as well at town meeting. The townhouse restoration has actually drawn a lot of attention. And again, I can speak a little bit to specific ones if you want, Doug, but.
So what's going on at the townhouse the restoration?
So what, and this is actually CPA article, but it was brought forward by the Capital Committee and the Board of Selectmen. It's to restore the windows, the facade that needs some work done on it at the townhouse, and it also puts a preservation restriction on the building. So, you know, in the future, if the town is going to invest, it's just over $2 million, you know, in the restoration of the building, then obviously CPC would want some guarantees as far as the taxpayers go, as far as a preservation restriction. So
You have some other news about the townhouse though, too.
I'm sorry?
You have some other news about the townhouse.
I do. This plays right in, actually. So the townhouse at this point is scheduled to open on June 1st, which is good.
Wow.
Open to the public again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet if they were going to still require masks. I know the mandate goes into effect the 29th, that it's not required, but the board hasn't really discussed, and I don't believe Mr. Purple has shared with the board whether his intent is to continue the masks for a short period of time once it reopens or not. So yeah, that's very good
news. Yeah,
it
a little
is
getting back to normal here.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, and hopefully other things will follow as well. Let's see, some of the other articles are, there's an article for the disposition of Highland Street. I know that the board is going to discuss that tonight, which is the Art Center. And I don't want to say too much about that one because, again, it's on the Board of Selectmen's agenda for tonight. There is some, I'm just looking at the list quickly. There's an outdoor illumination bylaw that is up. It kind of updates what we currently have on the books. There's a site plan review, just some upgrades to, again, what's currently on the books. Mr. Lapine has a noise bylaw that has drawn a lot of interest from everybody. And then there's a flag road truck exclusion, which I think also will generate some form of discussion. So that's just some of the 39 articles that are currently up for town meeting. I know Moderator Semino is looking at, obviously your goal is to streamline town meeting as much as we can. It's a long day. It could be warm. We could have bad weather. So there is a list of consent items. They're going to ask the hall once again to, you know, approve in a bundle. And that's up to the voters. I know last year when we did that, there were a lot of holds on specific budgets, and I would anticipate that. COVID's been tough for a lot of people. So I would anticipate a lot of questions from a lot of the voters wanting to understand, you know, in these tough times, why some of the budgets are increasing. So last year that seemed to take up quite a bit of time as well. So hopefully we'll get through it in a day. I mean, you know, it's always the will of the hall. If you're close, the hall may, you know, ask the moderator to extend the day, you know, weather permitting, instead of having to come back on Sunday. So
are there any big capital items that are going to be discussed? You know, I know there's talk about a fire truck and things like that. So
yes,
are those on the
I'm actually going to pull that up right now.
Okay.
I'm actually on the Capital Committee. So yeah, so I can briefly touch on the tender, and I know the fire chief has done a remarkable job in getting word out. So one of the things we're looking for is, we know there's a water deficiency in certain areas of town. Pine Hill specifically has no access to town water. There was talk of potentially connecting to Framingham, but the cost of that was in the millions of dollars to be able to do that and do the piping. So one of the things the chief has been talking about since he came is the importance of having this tender. And it's just basically, it's a water truck. And what 10 minutes makes such a big difference when you show up on scene, and if you have to wait for mutual aid to bring you additional water. And it's not just Pine Hill. There are other areas in town as well that have water issues or not great pressure. So the chief felt this was the time now. I mean, we know that there's an issue, and the last thing, you know, we would want is, you know, for a homeowner to, you know, to lose everything when we as a town have the ability to potentially do something to help. So that is one of the bigger things. I'm just trying to page through. You think I would know the warrant by heart at this point? Let's see. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. So there's a couple trucks for the DPW. There's a couple trailers for the DPW. I think the largest capital items at this point are, oh, interestingly enough, actually, now that I think about it as well,
Mhm.
we're doing something a little different, and we're asking town meeting to do a little, something a little different outside of the box than we've done in the past as well. On some of the larger items, we're actually looking to lease
Oh,
versus
really?
to just bond or pay for, yeah, right out of the box, which is, it's just another way to fund. I mean, at the end
Mhm.
of the lease, it's not like your typical car lease that you have to pay a fee. It's just another way to fund these without asking town meeting on a tough year. This year is a very tough year.
Mhm.
It's just another way to be able to kind of draw out the payments a little bit, which is kind of interesting and outside of the box, something that
Yeah.
we've done differently. So that's a good thing. One of the other larger items on capital is the library, the
Yes.
interior. That
Oh,
can has been kicked for a long time, Doug.
yeah.
And anybody that goes in there knows. I believe when the library came before capital, they had said that it was I believe it was in the late 80s or mid 80s that carpeting was put in place.
Wow.
So it's they can't even clean it at this point because it just falls apart.
Wow.
So there's $115,000 for the upgrades on that. I can tell you, as long as I've been on the board, I think that's been on
Yeah.
initially on the initial drafts, and it never quite makes it to town meeting.
It looks like they finished the exterior of the library, the work that they were doing. It looks really nice.
It does, and I think the last piece they have to do there is, again, town meeting had voted for a preservation restriction
Uh-huh.
on the facade of the building. So I know that they're working towards that. So hopefully that'll get done soon too.
Yeah. I hope that
Um,
goes through. I mean, I think when you realize how important it is to the town when you take it away.
yeah, no,
They've done a really
absolutely.
good job of, I've ordered books and gone to pick them up myself throughout the whole deal. But you miss going in for people that go to a library, even if it's only, once or twice a month, you still miss it, you know?
You do,
So,
just like the senior center,
yeah,
it's kind of the same thing. It's the drive-throughs are wonderful, and
yeah.
it's just that personal connection that we're all missing, that has made it so tough.
So is
So
there any been talk, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit about the library being open? I mean, since the town hall is opening up on the 1st, will the library follow soon after that, do you think?
So I think with the libraries initially, they want to do like a soft opening.
Okay.
And I know there's been talk of by appointment only initially to start, but with the new mandates, I think the trustees may relook at that,
Hmm.
But I know as of today, they have plans for a soft opening by appointment only, allowing people to, once
Okay.
again, come into the library.
Yeah.
So that has been successful. Um, I'm just trying to look here really quick. So we have the tender, which we already talked about. Some of the other things that are going to go under the lease, following equipment, I'm just making sure that I'm speaking correctly on this. They're looking at doing the ambulance, which is actually paid out of the ambulance fund, which comes from the fees, that are billed to
Hmm.
the insurance companies. But they're looking to lease that. They're looking to um, yeah, it was a few other items, but yeah, it's just
Okay.
it's an interesting concept that we've never done before. And it actually, instead of the taxpayers spending,
Hmm.
whatever the total may have been, six, seven, $800,000, it's being able to spread it out over the life of some of these vehicles. So it's a great opportunity for the
Hmm.
town. So
Can I ask you what's going on with the budget? Are we going to see a final budget or a final proposed budget?
So I looked at the last meeting, I believe it was just over 3%. There were still a couple holdout items that I think advisory and the Board of Selectmen have worked through tonight. I think you'll
Okay.
get the final number. It's on the Board of Selectmen's agenda. There was one final piece in order to be in conjunction with advisory. Because I mean, again, you could certainly go to town meeting differing. That's okay. That's what it's all about. But it's nice
Right.
when we can come together and work together. So
Hmm.
the last piece was Board of Health. My understanding was at our last meeting, it was just over 3 or just under 3. So
Okay.
I don't know that number is going to change, but looking where we started out at and knowing that this year's been coming for
Yeah.
at least since I've been on the board, we've been projecting a over $2 million deficit this year.
Wow.
So being able to bring everything down and be creative in how we're doing things and You
Mhm.
know, I think at 3 honestly is still a little bit too high for a lot of people. And I think people would have hoped it could have been level funded. But unfortunately, with some of the capital items and whatnot, it just wasn't possible to do it that way.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot, a lot of the items that if you're buying things are just going crazy in price.
They are.
So,
They are.
that there are things that are just beyond the control of
Yeah,
folks.
typical maintenance items, and the nice thing is too um, the board is looking at a lot of different things. There's a lot of federal money out there that is coming in that we're trying to
Mhm.
sort through, the ARPA and whatnot. And when my understanding is once the emergency order, I think it's June 15th, once
Right.
that's rescinded, then your FEMA money, money that's available for FEMA will go away as well. So we still
Mhm.
have CARES Act money.
Mhm.
The town is actively utilizing that. The rent and mortgage program that was instituted has been I want to say it's successful in the respect that we were able to help some people that
Oh,
because
good.
of COVID,
Yeah.
had run into a tough position. And, we as
Mhm.
neighbors, it was an easy win for all of us to do, to be able to help each other. That doesn't hit the tax rate. That comes out
Right.
of the CARES Act as
Right.
well.
Oh, good.
So we had a few more people this time apply for it than we did the first round.
Mhm.
So,
Speaking
yeah.
about COVID, you mentioned to me earlier about the new vaccination taking place in Westboro.
Yeah, so it's really wonderful, and Carolyn Dykem will work very hard. It's a 7-town collaborative. It's a regional clinic. It's taking place at the DoubleTree in Westboro. They just started doing both Moderna and Pfizer. So they
Hmm.
started out doing Moderna, and just last weekend was the first weekend from 12 to 15-year-olds, and it was opened up to the 7 towns in the regional collaborative,
Hmm.
and all of the spots were taken within an hour.
How many of those? Well, how many?
I believe on Saturday, I want to say they did close to 800 doses.
Wow.
I'm not sure the exact number.
Yeah.
I know I've been, along with a lot of other people, volunteering at the clinics, and they actually flipped over this week to doing Moderna second doses in the morning, and then from 2 to like 2:30 they switch over and they do everything that needs to be done, and they started doing the Pfizer in the afternoon.
Oh,
So they're
wow.
now there from 8:30 until I think it's 6 o'clock at night now, between the two.
Do you need to
So
make an appointment or can you just go or?
they were doing walk-ins at one point, not for the Pfizer though.
Okay.
It's by appointment, and you can go on and register through the same site. And the Board of Health, I believe, has it listed on their website as well. And we've been putting
Okay.
it out there through social media sources as well. But it is just, I have to tell you, it is so well done, and the public is so well served. And it's not just, obviously, there's a specific number of spots for each residence in each of the towns.
Hmm.
So once they fill or don't fill those number of spots for the Moderna, for instance,
Hmm.
then it's opened up to the general public. We had people coming from as far away as Lunenburg.
Wow.
It's just amazing, and everybody's just so thankful to be able to come in to get
Yeah.
it. Some people were happy to not have to go down to Gillette, you know,
Yes.
and it's a smaller atmosphere. It's very well done. I think on Thursday when I was there were 10 people, 10 first responders, and then in the afternoon it was emergency emergency response team members as well, and medical reserve corps volunteers came in as well to administer some of
Oh,
the
wow.
shots, those that were qualified. So
Yeah.
it's been a hugely successful process. It has gone so smoothly, knowing the number of vaccines and shots that they're
Hmm.
putting out. I can tell you, short of when you first open or come back from lunch, I've never seen a line of more than 2 people.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just so well put together and so well planned.
And
So
it's nice to have it close. And that's the Doubletree in Westboro right on Route 9.
it is, and
So
and
it's
I
really
believe
close.
they're doing the second dose Modernas now, but I believe there may be some first, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do think that they're still doing some first round shots as well. So, and obviously with the second dose, people are pretty familiar with the
Right.
program, and it goes relatively quickly. But yeah, it was very successful, very
Oh, good.
successful. So
Oh, good.
a great opportunity for everybody from all the towns, and a
Yeah.
huge shout out to Kristen Black from Northborough. the public health director that kind of worked with everybody and spearheaded this. And again, it was a great collaborative effort with our Board of Health as well. So
Mhm.
a lot of citizens, and Southborough is towards the top on the number of people that are actually vaccinated in the state.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're doing well. We're
good
doing
news.
well. And I
Yeah.
think, again, I think that the Pfizer for a lot of families is important for the kids. You know, any kids that are
Hmm.
people that want to go away for the summer
Hmm.
or finally be able to get away, or kids that are playing sports as well.
Right.
It's so important that they're vaccinated.
Okay.
So yeah, just a great
Well,
opportunity.
well, thank you for coming again today and for all this good information. I will just say that Sam is going to try to get this out so it's on the local channels by tomorrow, so you're able to view it again if you have any questions. I'm also told that the town meeting, as always, will be recorded and out for also for you to view. So if you don't get there and you want to know what's going on, you can tune to the locals Southborough Access Media channels and be able to find that as well. So hopefully we will return again next month, early in June, and start talking about what's going on in the summer. I think we'll try to keep everybody up to date with what's opening up. We have the senior center to open up, the library to open up. Schools will be getting out. There'll be camps. There'll be a lot to talk about COVID and what's going on, because things seem to be changing so quickly. But again, Lisa, thank you for coming. This has been, I think, very helpful to a lot of folks, and hope to see everybody at the town meeting on Saturday. Take
Great.
care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.